All right, guys, welcome back to the Alienware Arena. Today, it is Nathanius and Katu standing in for Frodon and Clutch, who couldn't make it. But we've been having a great time. We've been seeing some, I guess, a lot of variety of games, a lot of ZVT, but nonetheless, a lot of variety, you know, one base play, two base play, three base play, from the super aggressive to the super economical here so far.
Yeah, we've seen quite a bit of a range. Didn't really see any mech, but I'm looking forward to a bit of a change in pace, as it were.
Yeah, and we've got one coming up here. We're going to have Breath versus Epyon, a little Protoss versus Protoss action here coming up. We're going to start, as always, on Entombed Valley. Here we go.
You are watching the Alienware Arena.
Welcome back. Here we go. It's Series 4 out of 5 here for our broadcast today. And it is our first Protoss of the day as well, spawning in the bottom left. Hopefully I got that 50% chance luck there with our observer. It is the pink Protoss, Breath.
And spawning in the bottom right position, we have the purple Protoss, some close positions on the Blizzard version of this map. It is Epyon.
Epyon. Man, you said it earlier, but seriously, the names, they're still good. They're still good. Epyon.
Icefire.
Epyon is a... Rower? Ronir? That was a fun one. Rower?
It's just like... I don't even just rar. That's all I can think of, man.
I think all these guys played World of Warcraft, man. Because people who play World of Warcraft, those random name generators, they come up with some good stuff, I'm telling you. So these guys quickly, or rather, I should say, Breath quickly scouting his opponent there with his with his pylon probe, and meanwhile, Epyon here going to go the long way around, so he's not going to be too happy about that. But so far, just some 13 gateways going up, chrono boosts on those Nexi. And, I mean, it's Protoss versus Protoss here, Nathanius. Of course, you're a Terran player, I'm a Zerg player, so maybe not our most familiar matchup. But lately, we've been seeing a lot more two-base play coming from Protosses, and not so much that one-base all-in style.
Yeah, it varies a lot. Slightly faster gas from Breath, but, I mean, Stargate play's been getting a little bigger in terms of the pro scene. With these spawns, Immortal play could be really strong. Try to make a really big punch before you can get anything like a decent sentry count. But, I mean, build variation wouldn't really, like, come up just yet. So I'm mostly curious to see the second gas timings, or possibly even a second gateway timings being brought up by either player.
Yeah, that 3 Stalker style of opening is rather popular. I was actually thinking Parting versus JYP yesterday. We saw Parting go for a quick expansion and hold it off against JYP. This was in the IPTL, I believe. And that's just one of other games that I've seen that it's a lot of two-base play. Players just getting more and more comfortable holding off aggression, really learning how to position their buildings and use their sentries' force fields to maximize their defenses. Now, with that being said, though, both players are getting secondary gateways. Again, Breath just a little bit faster than his opponent, and yet we still see him. He's down to 1 probe, but he has gotten that Zealot, whereas Epyon... No, okay, I'm confused.
No, it's all good. See, Epyon got his second gas before Breath got his second gas, and he's got 2 probes on each. So it's kind of like somewhat of like a little bit of maybe a 3-stock rush, sort of. But it's playing a little more economically on the mineral part because he doesn't need a terrible amount of gas. The second gateway was done a little bit earlier for Breath, but he's not really making anything out of it. Seems to be a little more defensive since he's opening with the robotics bay. Wants to pretty much hold off Stalker-based compositions and checking around his own base. So I think if we're going to see an expansion, I think Breath might want to, but he is going to get the 3rd gateway.
Yeah, if it's going to be an expansion, like you said, there's the 3rd gateway on the way, and he is starting up some Stalker production. Meanwhile, this kind of 2-probe in a simulator player is consistent with a Blink Stalker build. However, it is a robotics facility from Epyon as well. So both players here staying pretty much even throughout this game, just slightly different, I guess, gas timings. But we do have now Epyon with those 6 probes back in gas.
Yeah, I mean, both players doing pretty standard builds, but the thing about PvP is sometimes it's so difficult to scout before you get an observer that you want to, you play these like really turtle. You really want to be defensive at first, just in case anything weird's coming. But we see Epyon's going to be moving up with his 3 stalkers. There are only 2 stalkers and a sentry difference. So this could be, he could be able to do a little bit of damage, but a force field should be able to hold this off. And we do have an immortal on the way for Breath as well.
Yeah, that Immortal's about 3/4 of the way done, so it should pop out in time. Epyon there does manage to pull his Zealot back. The force field was just a little bit off there from completely trapping it. We do have a Robotics Bay going down here quickly for Breath, so gonna try to get right up into that Colossus play. It's also possible that he builds a second Immortal and then a Warp Prism and gets the Gravitic Drive, that warp speed upgrade, do a little bit of harassment. That's always a fun play to watch. And across the map here, Nathanius, we got an expansion coming from Epyon and a Robotics Bay.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of hoping that Breath takes advantage of this. He's getting the second Immortal out, chronoing it. I would love to see the double Immortal drop. I like to think of it as the shotgun with the Warp Prism, just blasting everything away. Just load them up, drop them down, boom, boom, just kill all the stalkers super fast, and the Zealots can't catch up to it. And I think it's going to be way more likely, I think, since Breath knows about the expansion, the observer's there. So he's like, well, I can go for the really big aggressive play and possibly just take you out here.
And here he goes. He's pushing out across the map. He's not getting a Warp Prism, though. He is, in fact, getting the Colossus follow-up here. But his observer spotted his opponent's Nexus, so he's kind of in a position where he feels forced to pressure. And in the end, it's a good decision because he invested his extra minerals into Zealots, whereas his opponent invested those minerals into a Nexus. And it does give Breath here a slightly larger army supply right now. In fact, quite a bit larger, 29 to 23. So he's putting down those pylons here, getting ready to warp in. I feel like he's just waiting to get that Colossus out before attacking.
Yeah, and the really big thing, though, Epyon was supply blocked for a little bit, trying to get his second Immortal out, and it was actually delayed a pretty big amount. But this Colossi being so much faster for Breath, this is going to be really interesting to see, because I feel like with the high ground, he should be able to hold off a reasonable amount.
Yeah, it'll definitely help out, but I love the fact that Breath waited for that Colossus. Sometimes you see your opponent building a Nexus, and it's just like seeing red, and you just go for it. But it's so smart to go for the Colossus, because his opponent is likely to have more gas units like sentries and force fields, so that Colossus able to step on them will be important. But hold that thought, here comes the engagement. We've got a lot more units here for Breath. The Zealots are pushing through the Colossus, doing some great splash damage. He's having a hard time engaging, though. He's only got that 6 range, and he doesn't want to get sniped by the Immortal. Nice pullback by Breath. Epyon now pulling back his own Immortals. They're almost out of shields, and once those shields are down, we see them just die so fast to that Immortal pile. The Colossus here continuing to micro beautifully, and Breath.
Yeah, this is just going to be too much for Epyon. Honestly, the Immortals are going down. Brett's just stepping up, and all those Zealots tanking the shots from the Immortals are what made the difference, and that's going to be GG.
Yeah, nice play there by Breath, and just good control on the Colossus. Epyon made a couple of plays to try to snipe it, and Breath just wouldn't let him.
That's the danger of expanding in PvP. And the old adage, whoever expands first loses, and the money that Epyon put towards taking the natural expansion ended up becoming the money that Breath was able to spend on the Colossus and just kill him with.
I mean, the way that we've been seeing it is really that it's either a super early expansion that goes down, where you go for like a 1 or 2 gate expand, then throw down the Robo and the extra gateway, and your opponent is just kind of not prepared to put aggression on that quickly. And by the time he is ready to put on aggression, you've kind of caught up. And unfortunately that was kind of a mid-range expand timing. It wasn't the super 1 base, like, just go straight up to Colossus, build 2-3 Colossus, and then kind of try to expand or pressure each other. And yeah, Breath able to take advantage of that. Any last words, Nathanius, on that game?
It's kind of tricky, especially considering that the spawn distance, if that was cross-map, would the Colossus have made it in time where he wouldn't have been able to build anything to defend himself with? So I think the next map we probably see a bit more of a flexible game, maybe.
Yeah. I think we may. And on top of that, it is going to be Ohana, so the natural is a much smaller choke area, so it can be easier to defend in that respect as well. So without further ado, guys, Game 2, Breath and Epyon coming up right now.
You are watching the Alienware Arena.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alienware Arena. We're in week 6 right now, and we're in game 2 between this handsome gentleman spawning in the top left. He's up a game. It's Breath.
And spawning in the bottom position, we have the purple Protoss, Epyon. Unfortunately, you know, he tried to go for the expansion, wanted to be a bit more economical than, you know, you see it often in PvP, but it didn't pan out for him very well. Maybe got something different he's going to plan for this game.
Yeah, very much so. And this is a map here, Ohana, where Blink Stalkers can be quite effective. You've got a rather wide range at which you can blink in, even just around the main ramp. But then, of course, you have a very large area where you can blink out along the tops or bottom side, respectively, depending if you're spawning in the bottom or in the top locations. So we might see some Blink Stalker play here on this map. Again, as we mentioned before the game started, Nathanius, Ohana has that narrow ramp at the natural, so again, a little easier to defend an expansion. So I don't know, if Epyon was willing to expand on Entombed Valley, I think it'd even be more so to do so here on Ohana.
Yeah, it's definitely a more favorable map for that, and I actually really like the super fast scout by Epyon. Wants to know 100% what's going on, but I'm not entirely sure. Like if he's going to be going for aggression for this, means it's slightly less economical to move the probe out so much earlier. But I think you're completely right in terms of this map being good for Blink Stalkers, especially with you can blink almost from anywhere on the low ground area by the 5th base up to the main. So slightly later gas though for Epyon, not yet mining it. Curious to see where he's intending on going, or where in fact Brett's going to be going with the earlier gas.
Yeah, because that was a little bit early, but meanwhile Epyon did get a late pylon down here, so unable to use his chrono boost right now to get those extra probes out. Just a slight misstep, but I'm a critical guy, Nathanius, and
you've got high standards for this.
I do. But Breath here getting that second gas, but at the same time is also storing up a lot of chrono boost here. So maybe gonna try to chrono boost out a couple of stalkers here quickly. I feel like if he was going for some warp gate kind of pressure, then he wouldn't have gotten that second gas. But then again, he's not mining from it yet.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. I mean, Epyon got the second gas faster and not fully saturated. Actually, perhaps faking out. He's not mining it at all. There's another gateway, and it looks like he's going to chrono that. He actually has a proxy pylon in the natural of Breath. So this could be like a fake out into some, maybe like a 4-gate or something really ridiculous, crazy. I'm not entirely sure, but it looks like he definitely wants to put on a lot of pressure, or even maybe proxy a robotics facility or something ridiculous.
Well, we do have a third gateway going down, so that does answer that question. I think a proxy robotics facility could have been really cool, but in the end, he's going to go for a 4-gate, actually, as a 4th gateway does just get thrown down. So Epyon here going to be the aggressor. Meanwhile, Breath is going up to 3 gateways himself. He's got a lot of chrono boost saved up on this Nexus right now, Nathanius, but he's not using it. And so his cybernetic score is still quite a ways behind here on that warp gate research, and it's something that he might very well regret, but he just spotted that pylon, so some things are going his way.
Well, he's not going to have an Immortal out anywhere near in time. The probe is still within the general vicinity, should be able to get up another proxy pylon in time, but he will miss the perfect timing, I think, for his warp gate. Gateway, well, the gateways take 10 seconds to transform. He's got like 5 left, so pylon's going down. He actually wants to be able to warp straight into the main base. Maybe kind of going to want to take advantage of the fact that there's no sentry there, but there is one, and it's going to be... Oh, no.
It was just too late there, Nathanius, and we see Epyon here. Takes out one of the sentries really quickly. He's got that high ground vision. The Stalker of Breath is trying to take out the pylon. The second sentry will go down. There's the warp, and 4 Stalkers make that Zealots on the high ground. They get a nice round on the Stalker, and Breath is unable to hold. His own warp gate only just finishing now. There's the GG. Epyon ties up.
And that was a I think it was a very, very well and carefully chosen strategy based on what happened in the first game. You know, it's like, well, okay, he wants to go for the Robo, but he didn't play, you know, he went for like sort of like a later timing with the Colossus. And then on this map, he said, well, he's taking the second gas. I'm going to take my second gas and let him see it, and then just completely move off of it, transition into 4-gate, and just go for it. And that was a very, very well chosen strategy and panned out very well for him.
Yeah, he did manage to tie up the series, so it's going to force an ace match. And it was a game of seconds. You know, that sentry just barely couldn't make it to the ramp in time to throw down the force field, keep those units from making it up that ramp. And his warp gate, you know, he had so much chrono boost saved up on that Nexus, but just wasn't using it on that cybernetics core. So he ended up having his warp gate done so much later. And of course, that also didn't help him out any. Now, Nathanius, you ready to go into game 3? Are you?
I am ready. I am ready to see this. I'm curious what the le finale between Breath and Epyon will be.
Yeah, sadly, you know, these are our first Protosses today, and it's a PvP, so usually pretty fast series here. We're already in game 3, and we are going into Daybreak here, guys. Let's go.
You are watching the Alienware Arena.
Welcome back, guys, here on Daybreak, one of the most favorite maps of all players. It's been around for so long now, and people just still love playing on it, and by now are very comfortable. Spawning in the top right, we've got our pink Protoss here, and I'm sure he will take all of our breath away. If he can win, it's breath.
Carefully chosen words there. And in the bottom left, you got owned hard going for a fast expand in the first game, and in the second game pulled out the fake tech into 4-gate. He is the purple Protoss Epyon.
I made a bet with myself, or a pact, that if it went to game 3, then I wouldn't suppress the urge to make some cheesy breath joke. And so here we are now, Nathanius, with the cheesy breath joke made and the Reddit threads started.
Well, that's, you know, there's just too many awesome names. It would be a shame if we went a series without some guy that has some crazy name we could make plays on words with.
I really like Epyon. It's like the combination of epic and eon or something. So it's like an epic eon. Eon, of course, I think an eon is it 100,000 years or 1,000,000 years?
It just makes me think of the Eevee from Pokemon, like Jolteon and Flareon and all that. That's what I'm...
Too. An epic Eevee.
Yeah, perhaps. Eevee just becomes epic. Just don't save your water stones.
Yeah, man. If you get one of all 3 Eevees, then they combine together into an Epyon. Oh man, and then they have fire, water, and thunder powers. Jeez.
Yeah, just breaking the metagame, but we've got pretty standard follow-ups from both players. Cybernetics cores, typically you see these made in PvP. No, nothing really crazy. Slightly more chrono boost on the Nexus available for Breath. A little bit less and an earlier gas for Epyon. So now the probe for Breath will see this. He's probably going to want to stick around a little bit longer, make sure that he actually is mining that gas. And, I mean, with the chrono boost saved for Breath could be the one going for the 4-gate now, but Epyon actually has probe headed towards Breath's third base. Oh, I'm really interested to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, Epyon, I think, once again, going to be hiding some pylons here. And early in the game, I was actually really focused because Daybreak is a map in PvP where oftentimes you'll just see a cannon rush, and the game is over before you're even done introducing the players. But right now, Breath here using that chrono boost not only on the cybernetics core, but also on that Stalker. So he really wants to get the Stalker out quickly, make sure he can deny his opponent any scouting. There's the second gateway going down. It's a little early for 4-gate play, but you never know. He is mining from both gases as well, so I retract.
Well, Epyon's not mining from both gases, and he just threw down another gateway and another proxy pylon. So I think we're going to be seeing we're going to be having some deja vu of the last game here pretty shortly.
I was looking for some action on Breath's side of the map, and it was happening on Epyon's side. There's the extra 2 gateways going down, bringing him up to a total of 4. Cybernetic Score here going to be done researching in 30 to 40 seconds, or 40 to 50 seconds here, depending if he uses that extra chrono boost or not. The Stalkers of Breath starting to move around, but this time Epyon really putting the pylon quite a bit further back. He realizes his opponent does search around for proxy pylons on that Ohana game, and he's not making that same mistake this time.
Yeah, and I really like that the position of the pylon was way further out, but he doesn't...
No. Sorry, but the engagement has started and the probe does get focus fired down, and that is a huge play here because now the closest reinforcements for Epyon are going to be on that rather far pylon. He's got another probe here coming in, but of course his warp gate is already done and he's forced to warp in so far away. Meanwhile, that's given time here. Breath, he's got that sentry up, he's got the energy, and he's now starting to chrono boost out an immortal here. Breath in a great position to hold this pressure.
Yeah, with the sentry out and the immortals, I think there's absolutely no idea that there's just no idea that there's a sentry there. So with the immortal about to pop, I don't think Epyon has a chance at all of breaking this ramp.
Well, he's going to try anyways, going up with that Zealot. One Stalker does get focus fire down. A second sentry is out, and the first sentry almost goes down 4 HP. Force field goes down, the Immortal is out, and with that Immortal out, Epyon here is pulling back with those Stalkers. The pylon, though, is still warping in. He might decide to continue pressuring, and actually back home, a Twilight Council has been started, which likely he'll go for Blink, but could go for Dark Templars, you know, the super mind game. He knows his opponent has a robotics facility out, so go for the Dark Templar. He'll never expect it.
I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like there's 3 sentries on the field, so there's no way he can literally hold this ramp for 5 years, and there's no way he could ever get up with any army that doesn't have tier 3. So it actually looks like Brett's the one that's going to go on the aggressive now, and I think that's a smart choice. There are no sentries for Epyon, and it almost looked like Epyon was going to expand with the probe down there, but I think he's just going to wisely be like, I need to get Blink, and now he's supply blocked.
Yeah, supply blocks are no fun always. That's a common thing, though, for Pro players. Forget their pylon across the map is actually a crucial part of their total supply. And now, actually, the second pylon going to get spotted as well for Epyon, or rather, by Breath. So Epyon here, who's only building 1 pylon, is still going to be supply blocked even after it finishes. Not the best position here, of course. He is trying to chrono boost out that Blink play, but meanwhile, back at home here, Breath, he's on his way towards Colossus.
Yeah, I think that's the right choice. I think he's just going to do what he did the first game, get the Colossus, and then just try to go kill him. And with 2 Immortals, going for Blink isn't going to like magically bring this game back for him. The Immortals do ridiculous amounts of DPS. He still has other units. He has the Zealots, the Sentry, the Stalker. He's going to have a Colossus soon. I mean, I feel like I would have liked to have seen him go for a 3rd Immortal just to be safe. I mean, his Observer did walk over all of those Stalkers, so he knows what's coming. So, I mean, I'm curious to see, because right now, Epyon's only chance relies on his Zealot getting up the ramp to give vision, because any Stalkers would die instantly, and once he gets vision, then he wants to basically blink up, but I don't know how well this is going to work for him.
Yeah, well, that's the tricky thing, is if he does blink up, then all of a sudden he's right in the face of the Zealots. Of course, he can get to the Immortals, but the Zealots start doing that extra damage, and of course the Stalkers can't blink back to stay alive. The first Colossus is getting chrono boosted out here. Epyon continuing to position himself here to try to push up that ramp, but I think you said it quite nicely and succinctly there, Nathanius, that Breath going to be able to hold this pressure rather easily, and I feel like Epyon's stronger chance at this game is to actually try to expand, try to force his opponent to move out, and then constantly dive back in and do some pressure. But of course, Daybreak, not the best map for that. You don't have too much surface area to blink in and out.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. You know, it's like, well, okay, if this was a map like Ohana, or try to leave your base, blink up, kill something, blink back. But now it's like, you can't, there's nowhere really blinking but from the natural, and then it's like, well, that's a lot more easily defended. You can't make
hold that thought. He's going up the ramp right now, Nathanius. The Stalkers are going, and they're going to blink forward and go after that Colossus. The first Colossus getting microed back, but it will fall. Now he's focusing down the Immortals, but the Stalker count is going down so quickly. The Zealots here getting so much surface area. Epyon now in a corner. The force field does keep them from storm going
And
down the
everything
ramp.
just melting to those immortals.
Ugh. Yeah, getting tons of kills. There's 7 kills on that one immortal, and now it is 66 supply to 28 here. Breath leaving us speechless.
Leaving us breathless, I'd say. But
I know,
I mean,
on purpose didn't say that.
he
I was
threw
like,
another
"Oh."
chrono. He threw another chrono onto his Twilight Council. Dark Shrine started, so it looks like he's basically decided this is literally the only possible way I could win this game. So he's gonna go for the Dark Shrine, but and the expansion. But I fear that Breath's next push may be breathtaking.
Well, there's 2 observers out on the map, and both of them are going to be across. Now, unfortunately, though, there are no pylons on Breath's side of the map for Epyon to warp in DT. So, unfortunately, all of his DTs that he can warp in are going to be, I guess, or the observers are going to be between the DTs and Breath's base at every step of the way. So there's really not much that Epyon can do. And Breath now pushing in, takes down that Nexus, and Epyon here forced to GG.
Yeah, the Dark Shrine wasn't even going to finish before the push hit anyway, so that was just a tough. It was went for the 4 gate. I think going for the 4 gate 2 games in a row like that, wasn't. I'm not sure it was the ideal build choice, especially on Daybreak, where he lost the probe in the initial little engagement, and then it takes so long to get another probe there. You're just kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear ya. And I guess really one of the biggest mistakes might have been that he didn't throw down a pylon before trying to engage with that probe, but at the same time his opponent had the sentries prepared. He was able to throw down those force fields, so I don't think that it would have made a big difference in that game in the end, because Breath just had a build order that was good against the 4 gate. That was strong.
Yeah, exactly. It was, you open Immortal